Hey y'all, just wanted to come on here and apologize for not getting this podcast out sooner. As y'all can see, especially on this channel here, I've been posting interviews like crazy over the last couple of days, and I hope y'all will check them out as they did feature two competitors who will be on the Super RIZIN 2 event later today or tonight, or, if you're watching this after the fact, you're probably going to be wondering who these fighters are, so you might want to check those out. But still, secondly, while uploading to YouTube hasn't really been frequent for Focus Fights, or for me personally, and ditto for the website, which we haven't put out a new story since last spring, we hope to keep posting to and through this platform more often, especially as the fight world continues to change. We don't want to be left behind. And finally, just to clarify, we did this podcast before the recent changes that happened to this card, so therefore we will not be talking about AJ McKee's staph infection removal from this event, nor will we be able to talk about Roberto Satoshi de Souza, the RIZIN lightweight champion, replacing him in his $1 million lightweight Grand Prix quarterfinal bout against Patricky Pitbull Fury, or the very late notice replacement of Bellator featherweight champion and the only male 3-division title contender in MMA history, Patricio Pitbull Fury, facing off against current RIZIN featherweight title challenger, or at least former in the most recent case, Chihiro the Crazy Diamond Suzuki. But with that, as to not toe the line between fight content and crazy behavior, especially considering that what went on this podcast just told the line just a little bit, I must say this following warning. Disclaimer. Content warning. This podcast contains views of violence, strong language, and strong situations, some of which may not be suitable for those under the age of 18 or with soft listening habits. Listener discretion is strongly advised. The Focus Fights audio podcast contains the expressed opinion of J. Christian Gary and whoever he may have hosting the show with him, or whoever may take the place of Mr. Gary on behalf of him. Their words are theirs and theirs alone and do not necessarily reflect the views of Focus Fights or any entities mentioned for fear of lost opportunities or future endeavorment in whole or in part in the present or in the future. Any questions, comments, or concerns about this podcast can be referred to via DM on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram at Focus Fights, or via email at focusfights@gmail.com. All the fighters mentioned on this show and or any guests that the host may have on are trained professional fighters, wrestlers, and combatants, and while we cannot speak for them, we should advise you, the listener, to not try any of the hits, holds, or moves seen in professional combat sports at home, school, or anywhere sans adult supervision for fear of potential injury and or death. With that in mind, we thank you for your patience, and we hope you enjoy this podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, as I flip this around, what's good, y'all? It's the Chillmeister J. Christian Gary, and you are watching and listening to a very special Focus Fights presents. I don't even know what to call this. This ain't really Focus Fights audio, even though you're probably listening to it on the podcast version. This is more likely Focus Fights video. But still, though, this is the first of a kind we're doing this. This is the preview/review. No, this is the preview for Super RIZIN 2 taking place this Sunday, July 30th, or this upcoming Saturday, July 29th, depending on your time zone, from the epic Saitama Super Arena in Saitama City, Saitama Prefecture, Japan. The first part will air on Showtime. Second part will air on Fight TV pay-per-view. I am not alone on this one. We got J Wolf in Southern California. We got Teep Tribe. We got Teep to the Junk Tribe in somewhere in New England. Introduce yourselves first, J Wolf.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Great to be here with you again. I love talking about this. This is just, I call this a summer blockbuster collaboration mega event, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to watch with y'all, and I just love talking about it with y'all. So this is really looking forward to this. This is an inaugural Focus Fights video, and we're going to do this a great preview here. We got Teep to the Junk from the inordinately long preview and the ridiculously long recaps that we do. Teep the Junk's YouTube channel, Random Acoustic Thoughts for Bellator, the mighty Bellator. And Teep, say what's up to everybody.
Hello, people. What's up, guys? Thanks for having me on. Preview the Bellator portion of this glorious, what did you call it, Jay Wolf? A collaboration super mega event, something like that?
The summer blockbuster collaboration mega event. In the theme
of
summer
blockbuster collaboration mega event. Preview. So this is great. Just pile on and just talk card and try and while away the moments.
Right, of course. And I mean, I'm sorry for the audio fuck ups on my end. I mean, obviously, we're in 3 very different time zones. So, it's gonna be bumpy when it comes down to doing this.
Yeah, it's all good. So let me ask you guys a question. Let me turn the tables. What's the fight you're most excited for, J. Chris?
Oh, the fights I'm on the Super RIZIN side, the fights I'm most excited for are Daichi Abe versus Igor Tanabe, because of course that's pretty much, since there's no heavyweight fights on the card, no light heavyweight fights on the card, this is the only fight featuring big boys above 155 pounds. So I think this fight is, no, wait, actually, let me rephrase myself. On the RIZIN portion of the card, this is the only fight where you got big boys above 155. So, this fight should be exciting. And of course, the lone title fight I'm interested in on the RIZIN portion is, well, let's face it, Hiromasa Okikubo versus Juan Archuleta. I mean, y'all probably might have seen Juan Archuleta on regional. I can't even say the show right. Live with Kelly and Mark talking about basically demonstrating RIZIN, so to speak.
Yeah, and he brought up the superior rule set. He brought up the superior rule set, was talking about soccer kicks and stomps on broadcast TV, one of the big morning shows, the one that took over for Regis and Kelly. So, that's a pretty big deal, I think. That was great to see Juan do that.
It is a big deal, but it didn't really get RIZIN any promotion because they're barely mentioned over here in this country.
That's all right. They mentioned it on air. They said it correctly. They didn't say RIZIN. They said RIZIN. So, and they were talking about soccer kicks and stomps, the difference in the rule set. And Juan even demonstrated it. So, that's just a win-win-win in my book. That was.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. If he's on TV, then talking about soccer kicks. I love it.
Yes. And as Teep knows, that was one of the most beautiful things about the New Year's Eve collaboration mega event that happened 7 months ago in the Saitama Super Arena with the Bellator versus RIZIN 1 that happened. And, as Teep knows, AJ McKee, who's also featured on this summer blockbuster collaboration mega event, AJ McKee was on the New Year's Eve collaboration mega event, and he threw the first ever flying stomp and soccer kicks on Showtime. I thought that was a pretty cool thing for AJ McKee.
Super sweet. And also just shout out to Juan for using those grounded knees.
Yes.
From side control, I seem to remember.
Yes. Hopefully we see more of that in this show. And it just shows that Juan knows the assignment, as I like to say. But as far
as the Bellator portion of the card goes, the only fight, and I basically hate to disparage on all 5 of the fights that's going to be taking place on this card, this part of the card, the only fight I'm going to be interested in is Kyoji Horiguchi versus Makoto Shinryu Takahashi, because let's face it, It's the only fight that the Japanese are truly interested in. It's the only fight that really, it's the only fight that really a lot of fight fans around the world, no disrespect to the main event, AJ McKee versus Patricky Pitbull, but this is the only fight around the world that people will truly have an interest in because of the fact that you got the almighty Gucci 2 belts looking to become Gucci 2 belts once again, but in a different weight class.
I disagree with that. I think that the Japanese fans, they like the Pitbull brothers. Remember, Patricky fought in the Epic RIZIN before. He was part of a Grand Prix. He actually had a sensational soccer kick knockout of one of the best 155-pound fighters in RIZIN. At the time, he was a prospect, and now he's matured a little bit and gotten better. But still, it's a great fighter. And of course, I talk about Luis Killer Gustavo and Patricky Pitbull, who's in this main event of the Bellator portion, which I'm calling Bellator times RIZIN instead of Bellator versus RIZIN. It's Bellator times RIZIN, and Patricky Pitbull had a sensational soccer kick knockout. The fans remember it, and also AJ McKee, sensational performance at the New Year's Eve collaboration mega event. The Japanese fans remember it. I'm sure they're excited about that one. And, of course, Kana Watanabe is another Japanese fighter, female fighter, one of the best Japanese female fighters. She's ranked in the top 5 in Bellator's flyweight class right now. And, I'm sure that they're going to be excited about that one too. But, of course, Jay Chris, you are right that the main one is, Gucci 2 belts versus the new generation Shinryu. So it's like, that's definitely, that's all Japanese matchup. That's the only actual Bellator versus RIZIN one. Although Teep was saying that Shinryu got signed by Bellator. So no matter who wins.
Andrew was saying that, I think, or Santiago.
Oh, right. Y'all's partner on the enormously long RIZIN preview podcast, yes. Right?
Santiago from the Bellator zone, who is also an official rankings panelist for Bellator. And he comes on and he will actually explain his ranking decisions to us after each show and everything. He'll say how his rankings have changed, and I sit there and defend them against our criticism. It's freaking awesome. Just a big shout out to Santiago. Really, the guy from the Bellator zone. The guy is just a great Bellator fan and a great rankings panelist, and just really appreciate how actually. Have you ever heard of any other rankings panelists for anybody? I'm talking about UFC, anywhere. A rankings panelist that will actually, sit there and tell you, say what they're voted for, defend those, and sit there and take questions about them and defend their rankings. I've never heard of anybody else doing that besides Santiago. So again, big ups to Santiago from the Bellator, and that's on Teep's show. The ridiculous, inordinately long preview and the ridiculously long recap. A lot of fun.
I see. And you know what, Teep? Considering the fact that you're not going to be on for long, I just want to ask you, when it comes down to the fights that you're looking forward to on both of these portions, the Bellator portion and the RIZIN portion, what are your thoughts and what fights are you looking forward to on both of those cards?
Oh, that's a great question, Jay Chris. Thank you. A little layup. Let me just try and knock it out of the park. So to be perfectly honest, I love everything under the superior rules at any skill level, just because it's just very dynamic. And so, but I haven't, as a consequence, I haven't really researched the RIZIN card. And also I've been kind of deep in my boxing history research. I got a book I'm working on. So I know this Bellator part. The RIZIN part, I'm just going to enjoy it. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to enjoy it thoroughly. The fights I'm most really keyed in on, really Koreshkov-Larkin stylistically is my favorite fight that I'm aware of that night. We're talking about two guys with stopping power. They're very quick at welterweight, very deadly, well-rounded, both coming off phenomenal finishes. If I'm not mistaken, Koreshkov's last appearance was a rib-breaking spinning back kick against Chance Rencounter. Larkin absolutely face-planted. Let me think. Let me remember the guy's name. He's a good fighter. I just can never remember his name. Help me out, Jay. Yeah, who'd he face-plant in his last fight? Larkin. Phenomenal.
It was. I'm looking up right now to make sure I get it correct.
I couldn't remember the other day. You had to remind me the other day, but he had a good record. And
no, it was. Oh, it was Muhammad
Berkamov. Yeah, you see, I can never. I'm not very good with names, folks. But
And
yeah,
wasn't he top 10 ranked at the time, right? Because he had because at the time he was like, I don't even think he was. I think he was undefeated, wasn't he, or no? Or did he have like only one loss, something crazy like that?
Not undefeated, but a very good record. I think maybe only one loss, and he was coming off the no contest with Larkin. They put the fight back together. Larkin this time got the emphatic KO. You know, like basically like collar tie, elbow to the grill. The guy face planted like Ric Flair flop style. It was incredible.
Yeah,
that's
it was
really the fight.
That was at Bellator LA, Bellator 290 on the CBS of the greatest fighter of all time, Fedor Emelianenko's retirement ceremony on CBS. That was part of the prelims of that fantastic show, and I was there live, as you guys remember. And although I had a crappy angle on that KO, I was like directly behind Berkamov, so I saw Larkin throw kind of like an elbow, but I couldn't really see it. That's what it was. And then I saw like behind it, so I didn't even have a good angle for the flare flop because I was like directly behind where the action. But it got a huge pop from the crowd. And then I was on the side where Larkin gets up after the KO and goes and runs and jumps up on the cage and is pumping up the crowd and stuff. It was a legit KO of the year candidate. And then just seeing the replays of it, just go watch the replays of it. Like you're saying, a fantastic flare flop face plant, standing elbow KO. It was awesome. And that's what. And remember, this is also a rematch, or not a rematch, but part two, because Koreshkov and Larkin have fought before. And before it was a fantastic striker's delight, and we expect nothing less. It's going to continue to be a striker's delight, possibly getting a finish this time. So I agree with you, T. I'm looking forward to this one. This is one of the kicking off the card. So you're going to be watching Spence Crawford, and then on Showtime pay-per-view, and then flip it over to Showtime after that fight's over with, and you're going to get to see a striker's delight to kick off this card with a bang at 11 p.m. Eastern on Showtime. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I'm going to be working, so I'm actually not going to be buying the Spence Crawford. I'll check it out a few days later, and I'm going to have to listen live to this Bellator show. But I'm used to that, man. Such is life. I work nights. You do.
I see. But now that y'all mentioned the Spence Crawford pay-per-view, and to be honest, it's going to be so talked about. It's going to be so, I don't know. It's basically two dudes just beating the brains out of each other when people wanted to see them beat the brains out of each other for a while. But still, though, when it comes down to the fact that Showtime's got two fight cards going at the same time, this card with Bellator, as well as the Crawford Spence pay-per-view, which, of course, I need to go ahead and remind y'all right now, Mauro Ranallo will not be on the call for the Bellator portion of that fight card, or really, he won't even be on the call for that fight card. He will be on the call.
He's doing the boxing?
Yes, he'll be on the call for Crawford Spence because...
Damn it, boxing. Stealing our Mauro? Oh, that ain't right. I understand now.
I mean, yeah, come to think of it, you got to adhere to those contractual obligations, pal. But still, though, aside from Sean Grandy taking over for Mauro Ranallo on this card, at least that's what I think. It probably might be already finalized. But when it comes to the fact that Showtime is airing boxing on pay-per-view and MMA on the same night at pretty much the same time, I mean, wouldn't y'all think that Showtime is having a bit of an identity crisis when it comes down to what to air? Because we all know Crawford Spence is going to be the big card, but I mean, it feels like Bellator is being like a neglected child here.
No, not necessarily.
There's more money in boxing, and that boxing fight is bigger than anything that's happening that weekend. This is a fight between the two. My understanding is these are the two great welterweights of their generation. A little bit older, they're in their 30s now, but this is a fight that people have been waiting for, and it was actually used by like a lot of the spammers, the MMA spam accounts always been like, oh, if boxing's so great, why isn't Spence Crawford happening? They've been saying that for probably 4 or 5 years. This fight's going to drown out a lot of other fight talk that weekend, but that's appropriate because MMA doesn't do champion versus champion, right? So if
Well,
so
on the
they don't,
contrary,
I'm sorry, they don't do between the top two promotions. The UFC and Bellator do not unify their belts. Spence and Crawford are the widely acknowledged top two welterweights in the world. They're rival champions. They're about to sort it out. So even I'm very excited for it. I just can't afford to pay for something I don't even get to watch live. But I think it's just
understood.
venue availability and trying to coordinate these things. If you add that extra layer of let's not get in the way of boxing, I mean, MMA kind of runs on its own track. So I think in its own realm, it's going to be big, especially, in Japan and RIZIN, they're going to love the overall card and having Bellator there and all this flavor. But yeah, it's not the big thing that's happening that weekend. But that's just that's scheduling, man. There's sports every week of the year, so there's no avoiding other sports. MMA suffers from this. It was the same with like TV ratings for the UFC and Bellator. Oh, there was a basketball playoffs. Oh, it's the hockey game. Oh, it's New England's at home this week. There's always an excuse. We're just a smaller sport, and we have to deal with that. But that particular weekend, Spence Crawford is one of those fights that's just big enough to brush into the mainstream. Not Pacquiao Mayweather, but it's a big fight considering what's out there right now. So I'm all
Understood,
for
T.
it, man. The more the merrier.
Absolutely. And do you
Understood.
think that they'll advertise the Bellator times RIZIN event on Showtime, since it's going to be a Showtime pay-per-view? I mean, I'm assuming it's going to be attract a lot of attention to the Showtime brand. And I would personally like at least one, commercial towards the end of Spence Crawford or right before, saying, "Hey, don't forget, right after this fight, flip it on over to Showtime to watch some Bellator MMA versus the top international promotion with the best rule set in the sport." So, I mean, that
Yeah,
10-second ad
but
would be fantastic.
Jay, here's the thing though. Not that many people watching a 40 or 50, maybe even $60 pay-per-view is going to want to flip it back over to Showtime just to watch a fight card that's barely going to last 2 hours. Well, actually, barely going to
I
last.
don't know. I don't know. Imagine all the fight parties out there after
Yeah,
Spence Crawford. They're going to be like, "Oh, now what do we watch? The party's still rocking, especially here on the West Coast." And then they'll have
Yeah,
something to flip it
especially
over
if
to.
it's the kind of party where they're not really keyed in on the prelims. They show up and they watch the main event together. There's still some time left, man. People can drink for more than however long that fight's going to last. I mean, it's just that Showtime's in these different businesses, so this is how everything landed. This is where all the chips fell as far as everyone's different scheduling, and they're certainly not going to get in the way of Spence Crawford. Like getting that fight together, Spence Crawford was ridiculously tough, multi-year process. And this fight was ready to go literally years ago. So, as far as Bellator and RIZIN being on the same night, they don't care at all. They're just like, look, the one is a pay-per-view, it's going to make massive money. The other one is part of our program, and they're just going to let it run. But I'm excited. I'm mostly excited, I got to be honest, for McKee fighting Pitbull, because McKee is not proven at lightweight the way he is at 145 pounds. And this is, I think people thinking it's an easier fight than it is, because McKee is very daring, and he's not necessarily going to fight the super safe fight that's the best way to beat Patricky Pitbull. It doesn't mean you can, but you can try to. I mean, he got the best of Bendo, so it's not like anyone who fights cautiously is going to beat him, but McKee has the grappling skills probably, but we got to see it lightweight. The guys are a lot stronger up there. That extra 10 pounds plus the extra weight that they can cut because they're larger people. It's more than 10 pounds, really. These are bigger guys, and we're just going to see if McKee can do it. But then Koreshkov Larkin, their first fight was good. I expect this to be even better and a real banger. And
and
obviously
you know
everything that's
what?
happening on the card is good, but Ortega Watanabe, that's very cool fight. Ortega's not going to let her just chill. She's going to really push the issue, and that's going to bring the best out of Kana. So,
And
yeah,
you know
pretty
what?
much everything that's
Let me
happening is
go.
awesome.
Let me go ahead and run down the card while we're talking about it. Let me go ahead and run down the card because I have the card right on my computer. I'm not going to turn to it because you probably won't even want to know what I'm looking at. But still, though, Andre the Spartan Korshkov will take on Lorenz the Monsoon Larkin in one of two upper weight bouts that are taking place on this entire card. Magomed Tiger, well, actually, let me go ahead and say this. The Italian gangster in his own mind, Danny Sabatello, will look to take Magomed Tiger Magomedov. And from what he's been saying on social media, he's basically saying, oh, I want to run around with his fucking head all through the streets of Tokyo or some shit like that. Of course, we talked about it. Conor Watanabe will take on Veta Ortega in a top 10 flyweight bout for the Bellator Men's Flyweight World Championship, the first time they're crowning a champion in the flyweight division for the men. The former and future the former and future Gucci 2 belts. Let's get that clear. Kyoji Horiguchi will take on current Cage Fury flyweight champion Makoto Shinryu Takahashi to crown Bellator's first flyweight world champion for the men. And in the final quarterfinal of the Bellator Lightweight World Grand Prix, Patricky Pitbull Fury will take on the mercenary AJ McKee in a very familial rivalry.
Nice.
Now,
great breakdown.
Now, when it comes down to, I don't want to basically run through all these fights, fight by fight. Jay, you and I talked about that with Andrew last night on the We Are RIZIN podcast. So,
yeah. Just talk about it some more. That's what we're here for.
Come to think of it, I'm not going to it's like I said, not going to run down every fight. I'm just basically...
Hey, real quick, guys. I'm on a limited amount of time, so if you do, you might just want to do it after I go. Unfortunately, I have car stuff to deal with in the very near future, so I won't be able to stay. Normally, I'm down to talk for hours. You know this.
How much time you got left?
Not too many minutes. I'm waiting for a call, and then I'm gonna have to bounce.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately.
So, which other Bellator fight? I want to hear from you on this, team. Which other Bellator fight do you want to talk about?
Yeah, we can talk about that. So, obviously, Gucci going back down to 125. Bellator's officially launched in division. They've hosted fights in at flyweight before, men's flyweight, but this is actually crowning champion. And Shinryu and Horiguchi are going to get it on. They both have superb records numerically. Gucci is obviously the more accomplished fighters, fought far more at a high level. And but youth versus experience. Gucci, I don't know if he's worse than he used to be, but he doesn't have the advantage of youth anymore. I'll say that. His skills are phenomenal, and he's been fighting at such a high level. Very few people, if any, can keep going at the high level indefinitely without losing. And when you fight all these different styles and all these different approaches, it's a good fight. I love it. Magomedov Sabatello has the potential to be either one of the best fights of the year or one of the worst things we've ever seen, depending on the adjustments they make and how Sabatello's controlling wrestling game, how his shots translate against the more sort of Dagestani wrestling, the more body lock oriented style of wrestling from Magomedov that uses good upper body and different kinds of, Sabatello might be shooting for the legs, but we might see Magomedov go for some trip takedowns and things like that. It's going to be either absolute fireworks because they cancel out the grappling, and then it's going to be this frenetically paced combination of grappling and transitions and striking, which I would expect Magomedov to win that kind of scenario. But if Sabatello is able to take him down, it could be a horrible fight potentially. He's busy. He's busy in ground and pound, but not necessarily stopping power in the short term. It could add up, but yeah. So this fight, I'm sort of cautiously optimistic.
You probably might say that Danny Sabatello could, try not to be an ugly American for once. Tone down the explicit language.
No, he's going to crank it up to 11, man. He's a cartoon character, but apparently that's how he is. Apparently that's just how he is in general. He's that guy as far as that brashness. So it's just who he is. And if he's not going to hold back, I'm fine with it.
Teapot, while we got you still here, I wanted to ask you about, since you brought up the inaugural flyweight championship and the inaugural flyweight division in Bellator, they were also launching an inaugural flyweight division in the Epic RIZIN as well. They've also been having several flyweight fights, 125-pound fights happening, and they have not officially opened a division and stuff. Unlike and this is like the inaugural. To me, it's like for both companies, the inaugural flyweight for both. Since they got Shinryu, is I know you said Santiago said he signed, but he's from the Epic RIZIN. Like, he's a RIZIN fighter. This is like the only true RIZIN versus Bellator fight on the card, and the other ones are unofficial for the Bellator portion. But I wanted to talk to you about the flyweight division and them opening up a flyweight division. They're going to need flyweight fighters to fill out a top 10, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at the first, I mean, I guess the first ranking, you have to have a fight to be eligible to be ranked in Bellator. You have to have the fight in Bellator. So even if they've signed a bunch of people, until they fight, they won't show up in the rankings. So like part of the way we know the women's featherweight is so thin is because there are hardly any. They don't even have 10 ranked contenders. So
that's at women's featherweight, yeah. But
right, but this is actually coming from scratch. So it's going to take a while for the rankings to flesh out as they actually have fights and are eligible to be ranked. But we will see.
Are they going to just take the former fights that have already happened at flyweight and just start and plug those guys into the rankings? Or
no, because they haven't done enough.
Or do a combination of both?
They haven't done enough. So I'm assuming that they will have rankings after the fight, like even if it's just those two guys. I don't think I'm trying to remember, but I can't remember them doing enough flyweight fights with exclusive roster fighters. I think you have to be signed. So you have to have you have to be on the permanent roster. Some of those contracts aren't actually exclusive, but you have to be on the permanent roster to be eligible.
Okay, so that leads credence to my theory. See, there's an upcoming on Jim Ozecki's podcast, Yamata Damashi, he had Ensign Inoue on there, and he was starting rumors saying that the next Epic RIZIN 44 is on September 24th, and that is supposed to also be a summer blockbuster collaboration mega event with the mighty Bellator. So, and my theory is, since they're launching this new flyweight division, they need flyweight fighters. If they're not going to already sign, they don't have enough of guys who've already fought that are eligible under contract, and they're going to need to sign fighters. And they're going to need to do something to fill out that roster of flyweight fighters. Now, what better way to create a division than a Grand Prix? And we have yet to see a Grand Prix in the Epic RIZIN this year. And that's why I'm theorizing that on these next events, RIZIN 44, and then a week later, we have RIZIN Landmark 6, their caged event. And it's a week later, they're a week apart. So I'm theorizing that's going to be a bundle on Fight TV for international fans, and they're going to load it up with flyweight fighters, including a flyweight Grand Prix with one alternate bout, because they could do just 4 Grand Prix bouts. All they need to do is the quarterfinals. And do have alternate, and that way that'll set up, because you know how the Epic RIZIN does it. Their finals are one-night Grand Prix, meaning the semifinals and finals are same night. So that could be on New Year's Eve collaboration mega event, and have all these featuring the flyweights and have making an international flyweight Grand Prix. You can have, and then they can sign whoever they want after that, and sign. Just like look. That's how Tawfiq got signed to the mighty Bellator, is it not? He won an Epic RIZIN Grand Prix, and then he got signed to Bellator. Or wait, no, he might have fought the lightweight champion first. Satoshi Souza lost to him, and then he got signed. But still, it was like exactly. Coming off of a Grand Prix, basically, is how he got signed to Bellator, noticed by Bellator. So, I mean, it's the evidence is there. The same thing could happen again with flyweight. So I'm just dreaming out loud here with you guys.
I feel you, man. I can I can wholeheartedly endorse the idea of them cooperating more. In fact, if they just went ahead and merged, so they'd be like on Showtime in theory, and then on pay-per-view in Japan or whatever. If they, that would be, for me, if there's going to be a structural change with Bellator, that would be the best of all scenarios right there, because then all these great fighters can go fight in the superior rule set, among other advantages. But I love it. So the more I hear them working together, the better I feel, because Scotty Coates and Sakabar have had a positive relationship for many, many years now. And, so they've already ironed out the toughest part in promotion, which is getting the people who run the who can best influence it to get along. There's also the contractual layer. So I do like that they're getting better. They're working on it. Because I mean, obviously, the first time they tried the superior rule set in the cage, as far as RIZIN doing it, it was on the post limbs of Bellator Japan in 2019, and then we couldn't see it, and it was like very heavily. So now it's like Bellator just put up the Bellator versus RIZIN on their YouTube channel. I mean, and the Showtime broadcast the superior rules. So things are maybe not changing quickly enough for us, Jay Wolf, for these long-standing frustrations, but they are changing. And I think I saw a tweet that someone said that I think they were talking about New York State might have approved one championship rules, or they were speculating.
Oh Lord, don't even get me.
So grounded knees in New York State. These are like positive steps.
That'd be huge.
Don't even get me started on that down one championship.
No, I know. I'm just talking about the rules, brother, because that means the commission, anyone who licenses there, can consider it. So it's small steps, brother.
That's right. And started in Colorado. And also, I think in Oklahoma, that's where they legalized the full 8-man, one-night Grand Prix for mixed martial arts. Rowan.
Hey, also, Jay, real quick, can I mention something? Like, okay, so I don't bash one championship. I don't watch it anymore. I see it sometimes on Pluto TV. There's a channel that does different fight leagues, but I have a friend at work from Thailand. He's actually back in Thailand right now, there for several weeks. But when I mentioned fight sports to him, that was the first thing he mentioned was one championship.
Wow, incredible.
So in other parts of the world, because of the roster, because of the way that they're pushed, different parts of the world, different kinds of fight sports have resonance. And so I applaud anything one championship does to open up the rule set here in the US, or anything, even if they're operating at a loss, they're putting on entertainment, fighters get paid, fans are getting entertainment, PFL's operating on a loss, but fighters are getting paid, fans are getting entertainment. So we're very blessed. But the golden ages are like that. They're a little messy. There's some guys you don't know if they're going to stay around or what the business model means, but we should just enjoy it, because there was that same uncertainty in the previous round of promoter wars. Like it's harsh, it's sink or swim, but it forces innovation. It forces companies to, like when Scotty Coates took over Bellator and they did the tentpole rebrand of Bellator 131, it wasn't too many months later the UFC had changed their whole visual look. Like on their social media, like they responded, even if they didn't acknowledge it. These companies force each other to change, and otherwise they'll be lazy. Look how shit the UFC cards, some of these cards have become. I mean, I see on Twitter people just complaining like it's half-hearted. They're not trying on the posters. This is old complaints, but it's gotten so much. But
you are right about that, especially considering the fact that half of the cards that the UFC does now are at the apex, where they're just basically tax write-offs.
Yeah, garage fights. Well, it's very low production expenses for those shows, so they may be more profitable than the non-pay-per-views that are held in arenas. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it costs to promote and put them on, but it's kind of lazy.
I mean, it probably
they're making their money.
Somewhere of about $100,000 to $500,000 at the very least.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm glad for any fighters who are able to get paid out of these combat sports. I'm glad for it. And back in the day, I had my favorite, Strike Force. I absolutely loved. I loved sort of the different, what seemed at the time to me, all the different crazy Japanese promotions. The ring promotions. They weren't all. It wasn't just Pride. Like after Pride, there was other stuff going on.
I mean, there were rings.
The variety is this.
It was rings, deep Shudo, and obviously Pancrase, right?
Heroes. Heroes had some hangman short fights, right? See, I love those freaky fights. That was part of what made me love MMA. Stuff like Fedor Krokop. Yes, obviously that's not freaky at all. That's like the greatest fight of the decade. But a lot of my other favorite fights involve huge size disparities, soccer kicks, stomps, really crazy shit. That's what kind of set my hair on fire. It's just that thanks in large part to so many great heavyweights and Nate Diaz ending up in Strikeforce. That was where I sort of like. So I still have that dichotomy in my fandom where I prefer the superior rules, I prefer the ring, but the Bellator roster is where it's at. So stick those two companies, jam those fucking companies together, and let's get it going, and get more of these great athletes into the superior rule set.
And that'd be awesome.
That's my bottom line.
That's the bottom line, because Teep to the Junk said so. Merge those companies, Scotty Coates and Kakibara-san. Let's have some fun. Get those elite
like MVP. MVP, Simon RIZIN. He was at the UFC
Yeah.
event the other day. I'm sure that they may make some sort of bid. Bellator's going to keep him, but MVP and RIZIN. MVP with soccer kicks. He just dismantled Godi Yamauchi's kneecap with one low kick, or it might have been a second kick, but it was like a perfectly played. Give that guy soccer kicks, dude. He could plant it right on the nostril that he wants from a soccer kick position. That's such as his precision. So that's what I advocate. If he's not going to stay in Bellator, go to RIZIN or sign with Bellator and fight in RIZIN. Just get MVP into RIZIN. That's the bottom line.
Hey, do you think that Scotty Coates and Bellator is going to match? Because apparently MVP is still under matching rights clause. So do you think they'd match for him?
I think so. I mean, he's not young, but he's still in superb shape. Like, he hasn't taken a lot of damage because he's got really good defensive grappling, not offensive grappling necessarily, but defensive grappling. And you can see in like the Storley fight, but other fights too, when guys take a grappling approach, maybe they can get slightly the best of it, but it's not like Storley was able to just fold him up and beat his ass. Like, no, it was very frustrating. The ref should have been standing him up. It sort of canceled out. So he hasn't taken a lot of damage. I think he's worth it for anyone to bid for. And I hope that he just, I guess in my perfect world, because I would like to see him fight someone like Amazov, stays in Bellator, but then he's still doing like bare knuckle or boxing when he wants to, and he goes and fights in RIZIN. But whatever he does, he just got to get that money, man. These guys go through so much, a whole lifetime of wear and tear.
Yeah, and if UFC is going to steal him away, they're going to have to
pay the money.
Yeah, they're gonna have to pay big time to get him. So,
hey, he's gonna. Yeah, same with Michael Chandler. Like I was looking forward to seeing Chandler fight in Bellator, but he obviously made a lot more money because of his specifics to go over the UFC. That's good, man. Everyone is supposed to do that. No one is supposed to get, oh, you got this. No, they should be competing, and there's a lot of other money in here. And when people were talking about like PFL buying Bellator, like when the UFC bought Strikeforce, they wound it down, right? And then there was getting fighters to sign with the UFC. They had to negotiate those contracts. I don't know if people realize like PFL doesn't have exactly the same contracts as Bellator, because they have sponsor restrictions, among other things, different rules.
Mm-hmm.
So if they buy Bellator and close it, that just makes the free agent market the greatest thing the sport ever saw. It doesn't mean that they can say, and now you have to agree to all these new provisions in this other contract negotiated that you don't get to negotiate. It doesn't really work that way. So free agency is slow, but if it's not like the old days where the UFC, when they had finally gotten rid of basically all their major competition, they had Strikeforce, and then they're like, okay, we're only going to do 4 shows this year, and we're going to like cancel, DC Mir. He's going to have fight some Deion Starring guy, and like they were doing things to make the athletes to peel off the athletes. Like they got Overeem. He won a terrible fight against Verdum, who had just beaten Fedor, and then they get Overeem over in the UFC to unify all the different lineages and stuff. But there weren't many options. Today, there's so many options. You get a Bellator roster to hit free agency, some billionaire is going to be like, well, we can get
make
into
my
the business
own
now.
fight league, pretty much.
Yeah, so they'd have to play it tricky, or just use your investors to buy Bellator and close the fuck out of PFL because it's a bunch of bullshit, and just run Bellator. It's already beautiful. It's already so stacked with talent. Keep the best of the PFL roster, but or work out their contracts and the ones that don't, and just run Bellator. It's way better than the PFL. The rules are better. The roster is ridiculously deeper. It's something weird about the idea that like PFL, which is just getting going and losing tons of money, get Bellator and then close Bellator. So what? You're not going to use any of the footage from are you going to digitally remove all the Bellator branding, the Viacom branding from the footage that you're promoting with? It just seems weird. I don't know. What do you guys think?
You know what? It would be no different than the UFC basically censoring all the logos on the Strikeforce mat and basically leaving a big yellow piss stain on it, Matt.
Oh, I don't know such stain you refer to, but yeah, I can understand. I guess they could do it, but it seems weird.
On Fight Pass, they scrub the footage and they blur out all the different like the Strikeforce logo, the Rockstar logo.
Out. I mean, Jay,
they really do.
You probably remember this, but they blurred out. Jay, you probably remember this, but on the Fight Pass version of a Strikeforce card, didn't they blur out the Rockstar Energy logo to make it look like a big yellow piss stain?
Yes, yes, they blur out the Rockstar Energy logo. They blur out all the Strike
So wait,
Force. I mean, well, not the
so
Strike
do they
Force logos,
censor
but
out all the? So do they censor the audio, like as far as like Goldie going like Miller Lite, you know, and all that stuff? Is like, are they like really working over the videos like that?
I don't think they do the audio, but they definitely are working over every single video, including the Pride videos as well. They scrub some of those. It's just absolutely ridiculous. I hope they're not doing that to the permanent, master recordings of it. Like what? Hopefully George Lucas still has a master recording of the original Star Wars where Han shot first, and he didn't screw up the original, master recording with that little edit job where he had Guido and Han shoot at the same time, and there's a bunch of BS. So hopefully they're not sitting there scrubbing the original recordings of Pride
Wait,
and
what did they
Strike
do? They
Force.
switched it so he doesn't gun the mercenary down.
Yeah, you didn't know that Han shoots first in the original Star Wars. Han is
Yeah, well,
supposed
I'm
to
old,
straight up
so yeah, I know. He just
Oh,
shoots him.
yeah, but
Under,
no,
but you mean under
George
the
Lucas.
table, right? Where he goes, hey, whatever, and then shoots him, right?
Yeah, and now they digitally changed it to where it has them both fire. It has Guido fire first, and then they made it so Harrison Ford moves his head just slightly to the side as he's shooting. It makes it look all screwed up, and just I
So
mean,
they were like, oh, it doesn't look good if this like cargo, this smuggler shoots this mercenary who's going to kill him without being shot at. That's extremely lame.
and they're doing the same kind of scrubbing type of stuff and altering to the. Just hope it's not the original master copies. You know what I mean? I hope it's just a
Yeah,
copy.
well, I doubt that, but they don't care. They don't. It's not about us, Jay Wolf. It's not about the hardcores, Jay Chris. It's about casuals who don't really know anything, and that's why this Zuffa myth is so bonkers and so far from reality. But I have friends who are they're into the UFC. They watch. One of my buddies at work watches every card. He buys a lot of the pay-per-views if he can get off work that night. But he's a supporter, and he'd buy. Yeah, so I hear the talking points because they resonate through the media apparatus of the UFC, and then fans
Did he watch Bellator with you or no?
He went to Bellator with me. Yeah, dude's cool as fuck. So that's why you don't hear me bashing a lot of UFC fighters or this or trying to get overstep my bounds. I have friends who really like it, and so I'm not trying to spoil anyone's fun, man.
We're
My
all
dude
the same way. And
bought
all I do
tickets.
is bash Dingleberry Dana. That's it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I don't watch it because it just doesn't. I lost it. I lost the thrill is long gone. So, but I still watch combat sports. But after 20 years, you can have your taste changed. It started when they had Strikeforce. I was actually optimistic, because I'm fairly optimistic about these things. I'm like, competition's good, this and this. I was thinking, yeah, we can get Rock Salt fighting fucking Anderson Silva. But could we? Oh, hey, Nick will fight GSP, but then they piddled around and canceled the fight and made him fight BJ Penn first. And it's just bullshit after bullshit. So fuck their thing, but I'm not actually going to try to spoil anyone's fun because I have friends who are really into it and they pay.
That's right. T, but speaking about those fighters that you're just saying, I'm assuming Rock Salt, you mean Luke Rockhold and Anderson Silva. They, Rockhold right now is with Bare Knuckle Fighting, right? And so basically he's kind of like a free agent almost because he's not signed a mixed martial arts company. Anderson Silva is also a free agent right now. And he is going to be, he also has a quote where it's saying that he wants a retirement fight in mixed martial arts. And he wants it in Japan. That's
so
right.
Rock Salt, Anderson Silva under RIZIN rules in Japan. Fucking book it, Sakabara. Make that shit happen. I'm 100% in, and I'll actually take a night off work to make sure I can watch that live because it's so weird. And it's like Barnett Fedor. I'll never give up. They can be in their 60s in wheelchairs. I'm like, line them up. Wheelchair boxing is a real thing. I saw some footage on YouTube.
That's right.
And it's never too late for certain matchups just because out of stubbornness,
Yeah, and Luke Rockhold is Bare Knuckle Fighting. That's also where I think the next flyweight title challenger, I believe, is going to be John Dotson. He's also with Epic Rising right now. I'm sure Bellator is probably going to sign him but he moonlights with Bare Knuckle Boxing as well. So I personally would like Bare Knuckle Boxing to be the pipeline to Epic Rising, and then they could from Epic Rising go to Bellator. But imagine Anderson Silva and Luke Rockhold, and then John Dotson versus the winner of Horiguchi versus Shinryu, and that'd be their first title defense at the end of the year on a card with Anderson Silva and all these other guys. Like man, that I can just see that New Year's Eve collaboration mega event is going to be huge. It's going to be a lot of fun.
What do you think of this? It definitely is. Oh yeah. So what do you think of this? So what if Bellator and RIZIN announced that they're going to have a shared flyweight division and that fights in both companies will count toward the rankings? Maybe they add some panelists from Japanese media, which they should already be doing because they do get Bellator coverage over there. And it's a shared division. That way, like a full-time RIZIN fighter could contend for the other belt. Maybe not
To
a
be
shared belt.
honest, I think that would be a great idea,
Have two
especially
champions, and they can fight every once a year. They have the championships unify, and then
because Teep, you did just mention that Bellator does have coverage over in Japan and like what, about 20 or 30 other countries. So they should have a shared flyweight division.
I think they broadcast to about somewhere between like 160 to 170. It's a lot of countries around the world that get Bellator. But that doesn't mean they actively promote in all of those countries. I'm not sure about the full extent of the Viacom apparatus or Viacom CBS or their marketing. I know nothing. I know less than nothing about that stuff. But they are shown all over the world.
In Japan, we even know what's their main broadcaster in Japan is Unext. And why do we know that? Because Unext is also one of the main Japanese broadcasters for the Epic RIZIN as well. So, I mean, it's like, you're absolutely correct. It could be a joint 125-pound international to Super Grand Prix to finish the year out. I mean,
and you could just say we're going to run in parallel so that we will have separate belts, but then there's the RIZIN rules in the cage for unifying the titles. There's like an what I'd like to see is, because it's so thin in Bellator, even if they get Dodson, 3 guys does not a division make. They could sign a bunch of people, and they may have some bantamweights. Bantamweight is so jam-packed. Some of the smaller bantamweights, I'm sure, are looking down like, hey, maybe I can make it there and get to a title shot within a couple fights instead of at bantamweight right now. You're looking at, it's hard. I mean, we got Magomedov and Sabatello fighting not for a title. That's such a high-level fight mix. We just saw Pitbull come down.
Bantamweight is one of the premier divisions in Bellator.
Right. So some of the smaller bantams, I could see them. And if someone unseats Sergio, I think we might, if he can still make it, we might see him go down.
Teep, that's what we were theorizing.
Here's the thing, though.
Wait, Jay Chris.
Anybody? I mean, this is my show, by the way.
Okay. I just want to tell about.
I don't want to sound like an asshole. I'm just saying. Would anybody in the bantamweight division who's really serious about fighting as a 135-pounder be willing to drop 10 pounds to fight at flyweight?
The winner of, to get at a title shot, I think so. I like the Dodson idea, but you might see Pettis. See, the thing is, Pettis has work ahead of him, and that's a big fight. Otherwise, I'm sure Pettis would be like, I got to try this. I got to try and do my own little version of what Pitbull failed to do against me and go down and take that. But I think I think as long as the champions are active, it can work with some moving up and down in weights and champion versus champion, because those are big fights. We don't have enough cross-organizational unification of these different lineages, these different titles lately. But one thing I wanted to mention, if I may, that's really encouraging to me is seeing these fighters fight in different rule sets simultaneously. That's part of what the golden age was. At one point you had kickboxers fighting also in mixed rules. And when I wasn't really that clued in, I wasn't hardcore yet, I just could tell it by the glove size. The grappling obviously also, but really the glove size, because a lot of my favorite fights were stand-up fights. So I'm watching these great kickboxers, some of them go over, like I'm pretty sure Ray Zeffo and, obviously Mark Hunt. Krokop went earlier before I think he started in mixed rules before I knew what was what. No. Sammy Schilt almost went the other direction. Like he had a lot of MMA, but he went over and was just one of the all-time great kickboxers. He came from karate style, so it suited him. But yeah, did both. I would want to see Fedor kickbox.
You brought up such a great point that I want, before we get off on something else, because we're talking about bantamweights, and you were talking about Sergio Pettis, how he has flyweight experience. So this just got me thinking, because on the RIZIN portion, the Super RIZIN 2 card, the portion is after the Bellator portion. That is one of the headlining bouts in that is, of course, Juan Archuleta, the number 3 ranked bantamweight, the only man to beat Patchy Mix the current Bellator bantamweight interim champion. He is facing Hiromasu Ojikubo, who is, he beat Kai, it was a Grand Prix winner in RIZIN, and he has a win over the current UFC bantamweight champion Pantoja, and he beat him in the semifinals of a tough tournament. And but that fight is for the inaugural RIZIN bantamweight champion, right? Now, we're assuming that Juan's going to win that because Juan is an elite fighter, already, shows he knows the assignment. Knows how
actually, that fight's not going to be for the inaugural belt. That fight's going to be to crown the 5th RIZIN bantamweight champion.
No, I know. You're right. The inaugural belt's a flyweight belt. I don't know why I was getting confused, but look, what we're talking about is that Sergio Pettis can go down to flyweight. He's able to fight at flyweight before. He's fought flyweight in the UFC, everything.
Oh, I see what you're leading to, Jay Wolf. Mix Archuleta too.
Yes. Okay. So if Archuleta wins, okay, he's going to be the epic RIZIN featherweight or bantamweight champion. If Mix is able to beat Sergio Pettis, and unify the Bellator bantamweight strap, then Pettis will be able to drop down to flyweight and will probably be as soon as he drops down, he'll probably challenge right away for the flyweight title. So then you can do, or like you said, Archuleta Mix 2 to see if Mix is able to avenge the only loss of his career and unify the titles across cross-promotional, just a super collaboration title super fight.
I love it, but I think, don't you think they're going to, because they've already done the face-offs and announced that they are fighting at some point, I think they're going to go, they're going to finish Pettis Mix. They're going to lock that off, but hopefully it times out in a way that Archuleta can unify afterwards or try to.
Yeah, look, if Archuleta wins and Mix wins, then they can do a super, cross-organization collaboration super fight. And for the titles, you know what I mean? To unify the titles across promotions. How great would that be? And then since Mix would have beat him, then Sergio Pettis can drop down to flyweight and challenge the winner of Gucci Shinryu and John Dotson.
I like that. Hey, can I ask Jay Chris a question? Yo, Christian, who are the best flyweight? Who are the best 4 flyweights, would you say, in RIZIN?
Considering the fact that Tension left, and he obviously was one of the best 4 flyweights in either kickboxing or MMA in RIZIN. I mean, shit. You really couldn't tell me off the top of my head who is the best 4 flyweights in RIZIN because, I mean, is there really a division in RIZIN right now?
I guess what I was going to lead to, I feel you. What I was leading to was, so would you say that Shinryu made an argument as being the best flyweight in RIZIN? I'm trying to find out his place in the pecking order.
Especially considering the fact that as a RIZIN fighter, he's managed to go abroad, fight in Cage Fury FC, and become their flyweight champion after one fight over there, and then come back to RIZIN and basically raise hell, so to speak.
And am I correct in thinking he fought at Bellator Japan in 2019 in the cage in the post-lim? So he helped kick off Superior Rule Set in the cage in the modern era. Wow.
Mm-hmm. It's him and John Dotson. They're 2 top flyweights in RIZIN right now. We also, on the RIZIN portion, right after the Bellator portion, there's a featured flyweight bout. It's the only other flyweight bout besides a title bout. And I'm almost guaranteeing that is going to be it's going to be hyped up as, probably the winner, if it's Yuki Ito, might be signed by Bellator and be in the rankings, or at least earn himself a spot in for sure in the Grand Prix bracket. That's hopefully going to happen at the end of September.
Basically, this bout is going to be Yuki Ito versus Hiroya Kondo, even though Kondo, who only goes by Hiroya, his first name, which is really hard for, fight fans like myself and Andrew Benjamin to actually search up for, because there's like a bunch of different names, a bunch of different fighters named Hiroya. Still, though, dude's 8-10. Yuki Montoya is what, 16-3, I think?
No, it says 13-5 on Tapology.
Okay, 13-5. Still though, I don't think Yuki Ito is gonna lose this fight. Let's be real.
Yeah, it might be a showcase fight for him to show off one of the other top flyweights in RIZIN. I mean,
Yeah,
who
it
else
also
besides
depends
Ito?
on how deceptive the record is, because you look at, like, say, take Vera Ortega, who's competing against Watanabe. Obviously, if you look at the records, you'd be like, okay, this one's got the better record. But until she got cut, she was kicking Ilima-Lei McFarlane's ass, regardless of record. She just has a deceptive record. Not everyone has the same kind of build. So that's another reason, like Patricky Pitbull and AJ McKee, Pitbull's far more experienced at the higher weight. Like, he fully belongs to lightweight, practically a career lightweight for the important part of his career. McKee's coming up in that weight class. So the numerical record, you can't necessarily just go, look how many losses that guy has. Because, at lightweight specifically, only, the Spike win was a good one. Obviously, Souza win in the superior rule set is epic. He beat the best lightweight of the ring in the ring under the superior rules. So that was fantastic. But as far as lightweight in the cage, the record doesn't mean as much. Like when he crow-copped Dominic Mazzata, but when Mazzata had fought at Fly, so like, even though it's a highlight reel, at Bantam, moved up to featherweight, got knocked out. He had a good record, but it's like, does that translate to fighting Patricky Pitbull? So this other guy, I don't know. He may have an empty record that's mixed success, but some people, like with Ortega, like, I wouldn't write her off against Watanabe. Stylistically, she's very aggressive. She's not going to lightly sit at the end of those strikes at range and kind of kickbox. She's going to come in and make it a war, and I'm so excited for that fight.
It's going to be a good one.
Mm.
And the record means nothing. It's just the styles and the attributes, and that's the same in boxing history. There are fighters you can find who went into fights 15, 20 losses, but then you look at who they were fighting, and you go, okay, this guy's had all these. He's been fighting almost like Ezra Charles is a good example. The great Ezra Charles. You look at his overall record. He fought on too long. Picked up losses, but also during his career, he had some magnificent streaks. But he fought dozens of top 3 rated fighters, guys who were top 3 contenders at some point in their career. Like, so that's different to a guy who's only fought one top 3 fighter in his whole career. Oh, that guy was number 3 welterweight. Oh, great. Ez was doing that shit dozens of times. Sam Langford had over, 50 fights just against Hall of Fame fighters, guys in the Hall of Fame. Harry Greb had almost 50. I see some of these guys, the strength of schedule. Now, MMA is not as deep as boxing, especially back in the era that I studied in the early 1900s, but it is the same idea that if you fight at a high level long enough, you pick up losses, but it doesn't mean you're going to lose a specific matchup. And so that's partly why Ortega Watanabe, I absolutely love this fight, because I can see how the approaches are going to just make for a delicious battle. Because when she gets too close, Kana's going to try and do those judo throws.
Absolutely.
But
That's a great point.
She's quite bullish. And if you go back, I don't know if they've released it on YouTube, but the Ortega McFarlane fight that got stopped on a cut, Ilima-Lei looked like she was getting broken in that fight. If that hadn't happened, I think she was on her way to certainly losing a decision, but possibly being stopped. So Ortega will bring it. She's very resilient. I love it.
Yeah, it was a great fight. It was a great point. And you're absolutely right about deceptive records, especially in Japan. It's no more where that's true than there. Especially because from the very get-go, they throw these guys into the fire, right? You know how they do that. They sometimes they overmatch them right away and just, see if they sink or swim basically in the sport. And just so,
like you say all the time, it forges legends. Look at like Jiri had a bunch of fights, well over a dozen fights. Nemkov, his first major step up was Jiri, who had like 3 times, 4 times the experience in RIZIN of the superior rule, 10-minute first round under the superior rule set. It was a great round too, back and forth round. But he was just starting. He wasn't really like I think it was like his 7th fight. I think he was maybe 6th or 7th fight.
It wasn't his 10th fight yet. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
But once he tasted that, okay, so he fought Jiri in his early prime. Like, holy shit! Like, it's hard to surprise the guy when you've seen so much. Same thing after that Davis fight that Nemkov had. The 3rd round was ugly. If that was a 5-round fight, he was going to lose that fight. Same with Corey Anderson. If it looked like he was heading toward loss. But in the Davis fight, he had won the first 2 rounds, so he got the split. And and with obviously no contest with Anderson, but you see him improve on his results. That strength of schedule, that's true of the great boxers in history. A lot of the greatest, they were packing in the work, but they were also being they were basically being overmatched at times to gain experience and notoriety. It can be a benefit. And that's why it's not just about records. It's about who guys have fought. Look at Koreshkov. He has a few losses, but he hasn't lost to anyone who wasn't epic. And Larkin's recent success, he's on a big streak. That fight's going to bang. And I'm not even sure who's going to win. I like this new angry Larkin.
Yeah, hey,
did you see all this prancing? Say again?
Did you see their first bout?
Oh, hell yeah. That was a good fight. That was a good fight.
Just
need I think this one will be better.
Yeah, hopefully this one will be better, and this one produces a finish. There'll be another Striker's Delight, and I think it's a great way to kick off this summer blockbuster collaboration mega event. And just I'm really looking forward to it. And Steve, that's such a great point about the records, and and like so. This I want you to make sure you pay attention. We were talking about the flyweight bout on the RIZIN portion as well, so make sure you pay attention to that because that was the guy. One of the fighters had the deceptive record that you're talking about. So pay attention to that one and see if
I heard you guys talking about on Andrew's show. With Daniel, was it the other guest?
Oh, CJ.
Oh, it was CJ. Yeah, it's good show, by the way.
Oh, thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
Andrew's having some laughs at Bellator's expense. All right, I see you, Andrew, but I can't say nothing because I love the superior rules. So if I wasn't so invested in the roster and the scouting methodology and all that and the history of it, yeah, I'd probably be the same way. It's big things right now. They just need to merge, man, because I just think about the opportunity for these athletes to change rule sets. I used to love that. Like I'd see videos on YouTube or on just social media in general on the internet. And it's like, you see the same guy. You see Overeem. Okay, Overeem's wearing the big gloves now. They're going to kickbox. This is awesome. Oh, look at this one. Now there's some grappling. Overeem's going to in the little gloves. And it's, so like to a very casual observer, it's exciting to see guys do different stuff. Like MVP going over bare knuckle. Yeah, he lost, whatever. But he went over and he just did something different. He got to dictate more the texture of his career. This is true of the guys I researched. Joe Jeanette, one of the great heavyweights of the aughts and teens, the early 1900s, and Sam McVeigh. They had mixed rules matches. I got a picture of Joe Jeanette catch wrestling. He's training with catch wrestling. He's in the guy's guard. And then Sam McVeigh fought a jiu-jitsu guy, knocked him out in Paris. So these guys, like it's not a new thing. The Gracies, their early challenge matches, I'm pretty sure those happened in the 1930s. So the idea that suddenly they came up with the idea later, no, they were going fighting wrestlers and stuff in Japan, judo guys or different, whatever it was in the 30s. All the way
back to the Olympics, all the way back in ancient Greece.
Exactly. The idea of combat sports being a little bit fluid, the rule sets is perfectly fine. The early 1900s of boxing, they would sometimes agree on the specific rules right before they went in. They would like clean breaks, like the idea, okay, can you hold and hit? Certain instances, they wouldn't be negotiating this while the fighters waited to go on. So it's like, it's not new. And I love seeing guys, like I'd like to see more MMA fighters box and kickbox. It builds their myth. Like Overeem, part of the joy of Overeem is you can go see some pretty cool shit in kickboxing, legit kickboxing, and also legit MMA. Like, come on.
That might still be happening, T, because Overeem was also brought into the ring at an Epic RIZIN event. Do you remember when they about a month or two ago, the photos were circulating of Skinny Reem, of Overeem looking all skinny and deflated, and people were wondering what's happening to him?
I did see that.
That picture was him shaking Sakaki Barasan's hand, and that was meeting with him, and they brought him into the ring for the, just to say hello to the Japanese audience. But that's foreshadowing that he also might be brought into the fold as part of the New Year's Eve collaboration mega event. And he also could be.
I mean, come to think of it, that kind of leads me to this question. Is Overeem really retired? Is Anderson Silva really retired? I mean, are we even going to see? Okay.
In their minds, they're probably never like retired unless they have like a crippling injury, because there's always the opportunity that the money will outweigh the risk so much. They want to do it. We've seen guys do that and then get into training and realize they can't do it. Even like Rocky Marciano retired undefeated, but he was having back trouble. He was offered huge money to come back, and he tried to go into camp, and he just couldn't do it to his satisfaction. He was kind of obsessive about his training regimen, and so he didn't. He declined the comeback. But there are lots of guys who want to do it. I'm cool with it, man. Tyson, Roy Jones, that shit was hilarious. Got some great interview moments out of it too. Reflective Tyson, like sort of that cerebral Tyson, is a very interesting character considering who he was in his youth and then in his boxing prime and after his late prime and all this. Yeah, man, we need that interesting stuff. You know, there's drama, there's genuine drama, and all this manufactured stuff. People playing a character. I'm not so into that unless not unironically. You know, if people are in on their own joke,
Unless
that's cool.
they're basically trying to bring some real life elements while they're trying to keep the kayfabe.
There's plenty of real stuff, real beef, but then sometimes the guys want to shake hands. The old kickboxing matches. Sometimes they do the little show where they match the fighters. I think they did like bingo balls or something, but whatever. But then they would just shake hands and go stand and smile and go stand next to each other. It's like they're athletes. It's okay for them to represent themselves as athletes. I don't like the pressure for people to become something they're not. Just be who you are. Like I was fine with Rory McDonald being a little bit reserved, a little bit of dry humor. He doesn't have to be, just because he's like, he was who he was. He doesn't have to pretend to be something else. Like that's missing. It's not pro wrestling. It's not pro wrestling where that is the main thing. The main thing in combat sports is being able to win. And GSP was a huge star without dropping his pants or catering to like weirdos and doing stuff like that, you know? So I like that. Oh,
exactly.
There's a chase. No, it's not a chase. They're moving. They're not coming for me though. We can keep going.
I mean, come to think of it,
sleep.
if it
I know
was
that's
a
not
chase,
for me. Huh?
If it was a chase, we'd probably be seeing you on the dash cam. Well, we'd probably be seeing you on video right now trying to outrun everybody.
Yeah,
all the
like
way
live
into
TV or
Puget
something.
Sound or something.
Oh man, I'm old and cripply, man. I can't outrun nothing. If there's any video, it's me very slowly getting to my feet with some creaking sounds. And
No, Teep, that was a great idea about the. Oh, sorry. No, I just want to say, Teep, that was a great idea about the two companies merging with Bellator and Epic RIZIN. I think that'd be absolute bliss. It'd be just, I mean, it would take this new golden era we're already in this year and just take it to the next level. And just.
Well, do you find it interesting that that it's so like originally they were going to do an annual collaboration, right? And then already here we are halfway through the year and we're doing another. And now there's this rumor that a card, what was it, in September?
That's right.
August or September.
Second
They're going to do
summer
it.
blockbuster collaboration mega event in September.
Right. And then we're looking at the end of the year. People are assuming they're going to do another New Year's Eve, like a team versus team. I mean, they're kind of moving toward it without saying anything. It's sometimes, you know, we don't. I remember back in the day, like part of the mystique of Fedor was that you couldn't really get access to his like thoughts. You know, he didn't talk shit. He didn't respond to all the trolls. It was very rare for him to say anything. That was, and then like watching like the footage of Pride, I became hardcore after Pride was gone. But like before then, just seeing the videos and things, you're outside looking in. You know, they're all screaming in Japanese. I didn't always have access to the English language commentary. So I don't know quite what's happening, but I know they're excited and I see what I see and I hear what I hear. And so there is a mystique involved or nostalgia involved for me of not knowing what's going on. Because that used to be the normal thing. Remember, Jay Wolf, we used to have to wait. We have to wait for stuff, wait for news, wait for cards to happen. Like now it's like we have this.
Come to think of it, Teep, and I know Jay Wolf can actually vouch for this, but didn't y'all used to watch like old school Pride FC highlights on FSN or in your case Comcast Sportsnet or Nesson or something?
Yeah, for me, it was on Fox Sports West, and I remember I had those. I got a screenshot of it to prove it because it was different hosts too. It was Jay Glazer and Frankie Twinkle Toes Trigg hosting it, and it wasn't the woman's show. You know, where we had, I forget what her name was. I don't know if it was Megan O'Leary or not, but she was doing the best.
It probably was Megan O'Leary.
Was it? Okay, but it was before her. It was before the Zuffa acquisition of Pride, or the Zuffa sabotage of Pride to get they had a Fox Sports West deal. It was on Fox Sports Net and everything. It was incredible. It was before the UFC got on Fox Sports. So, I mean, just a little bit of history that a lot of people don't know, but Yes, you're absolutely correct, Jake Rich. It was on Fox Sports West here on the West Coast. I don't know how it was in the East Coast, Teep, but it was definitely on Fox Sports West.
Oh, I mean, I cut my teeth on like really, really low quality videos or GIFs that I could find online.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I was
So
getting bits
you
and pieces.
probably.
I had a lot of stuff going on, so that wasn't my main, combat sports wasn't my main focus by any stretch. So I was just seeing what I was seeing. I was aware that Fedor and Krokop, that was one that stood out to me before I was a hardcore fan. Like that was important. I understood because I already loved kickboxing. MMA was like more of a novelty at that point to me, but that was a point where kickboxers have been going over, 2005, 2006 and beyond. A lot of guys were going back and forth. It felt like, at least to me. And that was part of like at heavyweight, especially. And that was part of what like gave me my joy was seeing guys do different stuff. I think things being too homogenous, I don't necessarily like that. So these kind of hybrid shows where we have Bellator, we have cage rules, and then we have the superior rule set in the ring on the same card. That's the best for me. That blend, that's like having dinner and dessert and not trying to fill up on just ice cream or only eating friggin' potatoes. I want to have dinner, then I want to have dessert. So I'm the happiest guy in the world, man. I am now hoping that they merge. Because if RIZIN can pull off real pay-per-view in Japan, that would only get better if they had access to the second best roster in the sport. They have the rule set, they have the production, they have the pay-per-view buying public in their home market, and then the Viacom CBS apparatus. So maybe we could see a merger. I think that might make the combined more money than what they do right now individually.
Oh, absolutely it would. Because remember,
Exactly.
RIZIN is the only other viable pay-per-view company out there besides the UFC, as admitted to by John Nash on Twitter, that just 7 months ago he's tweeted out saying about how the Epic RIZIN has been able, in terms of monetary terms, they are the number 2 promotion out there because they're the only other ones besides the UFC that are doing successful pay-per-views right now. And imagine that combined with Bellator's clear number 2 roster. Even all the UFC media.
Also distribution, because Bellator goes out to so many countries. So now if you were sending both out, at least until the certain contracts expired, they'd have to work it out at the executive level contractually. But, it would make for some incredible sports and entertainment for us,
It'd be a legit rival to UFC, an absolute rival to UFC. It'd be incredible.
And I'm also a big fan of chaos. I think to stay a combat sports fan for a long time, decades, you have to have some certain embrace of chaos because you get your heart broken so often, upsets, things you never saw coming. And you just have to, like, I can only imagine about the most hardcore kickboxing fans when like Bob Sapp beat Hoost. Like what is going on?
Exactly. And by the way, we got Sar Boris in the chat now. Introduce yourself.
Hey, what up, boys? What's up, Jay
How
Woke?
you doing, brother?
What's up now?
What's up, Jay Woke?
Oh my God.
He's talking about the tweet. Somebody accused me of being woke on a tweet earlier.
That's like the dumbest shit I've ever heard, bro. If you've ever met Jay Wolf in the Discord, bro, like he's like the biggest boomer ever. So like
that whole term is ridiculous. No one can define it.
I know it's ridiculous. I'm not using it seriously at all. Like I'm not using.
Oh no, I didn't think so. I think just when people say it, I'm just like, it just seems like fear to me. They're like, the things I'm scared of.
At all. But
I don't know. Hey guys, I'm sorry to cut in. I'm realizing I got to go handle this car stuff before I go to work. I'm over by like 20 minutes.
All I gotta say is thank you for joining this podcast. I just want to ask real quick, can you give a way that people can contact you, of course, and put over the Random Acoustic Thoughts YouTube channel?
Yeah, my boxing content largely lands on Random Acoustic Thoughts. I also do the inordinately long previews and the ridiculously long recaps for the Bellator shows with Jay Wolf and the Bellator RIZIN collaborations included. And you can find me on Twitter at @TeepToTheJunk. And thanks for having me, guys. It's great talking. Sorry I have to bounce out. I went over by a good bit. And everyone just have a fantastic day.
Thanks, brother. You too. That was awesome having you on.
Yeah, Jay Wolf, I'll catch you on the flip after this show. We're
on the
gonna do
ridiculously long recap next week after two Wednesdays from now.
Wednesday East Coast, 11 p.m. Wednesday after the show for me on the East Coast, 2 a.m. Thursday morning. And Santiago's gonna call in around 3, which is like his 9 a.m. in Amsterdam. So look
And
for
that's
that.
midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern.
And I'm out the door. Take it easy, fellas.
All right, brother.
No problem.
Y'all have a good day, man. All right. So how long y'all been going? Like, did y'all just start or?
It's been an hour and a half.
We've been basically going at this for about a little over an hour and 20 minutes, at least from what I got. But
and then we're supposed to be doing a We Are Rising podcast preview of the Bellator portion in about a half hour from now.
Well, I'm probably not going to be on there. Let's be real. No disrespect to Andrew Benjamin, but still, though, just doing this is enough. Still,
okay.
Well, you should.
You know me. I can talk for hours.
you should let me replace you, Gary.
You know what? Replace me for that one episode, dude. I'm pretty sure Andrew wouldn't mind.
All right, then give me the link. I'll scare the fuck out of Andrew. He's like, "Who the fuck is this?"
You know what, Jay? You can do that, but still, right now, since we just gotten over the Bellator portion of the card, we got to talk about the 7 RIZIN fights in order. And of course, we talked about Yuki Ito versus Hiroya. That's going to be one of the only flyweight, well, not really flyweight. It's a catchweight at 130 pounds, 58 kilograms. The second fight on the card
here. It says 128 on Tapology. Do they switch it up even more?
J-Wolf, are you really believing Tapology?
If it's 58 kilograms, it's 130 pounds. Believe me, I checked.
Okay.
But still,
I'm just saying what it says on Tapology here. It says 128. So.
But still, though, running down the card, Daichi Abe will take on Igor Fat Ninja Tanabe in the rare unicorn fight for RIZIN, which is at 185 pounds, 84 kilos. Bantamweights, Kenta Takizawa will take on former Olympic silver medal wrestler Shinobu Alta in Tofik Musayev's first fight under RIZIN rules since July of 2021. He will face off against Akira the Gorilla Okada. And, of course, the 3 world title fights in order by weight class. Seikizawa versus Claire Lopez for the RIZIN Women's Super Atomweight title. Claire Lopez will look to basically continue her run after snapping Reina Kubota's leg like a baguette. Juan the Spaniard Archuleta will face off against Hiromasa Ogikubo in a late notice bout for Ogikubo, but it's still going to be for the RIZIN Bantamweight Championship of the World. And for the RIZIN Featherweight Championship of the World, because they have to have an Asakura in the main event anyways, Mikuru Asakura will take on Vugar Karamov. So, yeah, let's run this shit down.
Okay, so let's go from the top to the bottom. Since last night, I was there. I was in the chat, so I already know this. But I was doing some trolling in the chat. But I think like Mikuru, by all accounts, should lose this fight pretty easily, right? But I just can't believe that Mikuru and RIZIN would lose a big fight like this. Barra's gonna rig it somehow. No, I'm just kidding.
How? There's no way to do it. It's got to be Mikuru actually.
Wait, did you just say how you can rig a fight in Japan, Jay?
Yeah. You think they're gonna do full UFC?
You was watching the Mighty Pride FC. You didn't think, damn, some of these fights might be rigged. Like,
no, not really. I mean, the action was
you
like
didn't watch any of
beyond
those
rigging.
fights and think, damn, that shit is fake.
No. Well, the Yuji Nagata fight, of course, but I mean, the other one.
I mean, Nobuhiko Chikata. You never watched those early Pride fights? It's like, damn, this might be fake.
Well, I didn't start watching until the 2000 Grand Prix, so I missed the first couple Prides. Not 2003, 2000 Grand Prix, and I missed the first couple ones. The ones you're talking about with Takada and Hickson Gracie, I did not see that one live. Had to see the replay of that. But if you're saying those are, I mean, it's no more fixed than what the UFC does. It looks like the UFC pays off one half of the fight to take a dive, to let the guy they're trying to build up I mean, did you see some of these finishes that are happening? They look suspect as all hell, bro. It's crazy.
Jay Wolf said that's a little sussy right there. It's a good finish.
Yeah, they totally are, bro. It's crazy. So I guess if you want to say that could happen in this one, I guess.
I don't actually believe, I'm just trolling.
Okay. I mean, we're gonna be watching like a Hawks gonna be a main event. If they try to do something, they better be looking good.
I don't think Mikaru's got a chance here. Like, I mean, Bara is praying to whatever spirit, God, whatever, whoever he believes in, that Mikaru does win, because that would be big business. Like, that would be huge business for.
Oh yeah, and imagine he does his first defense in New Year's Eve. That New Year's Eve show is going to be so massive with just the ticket price is going to be out of control. It's going to be like UFC prices. It's going to be unbelievable.
But I agree with you, Jay Wolf. That it's a win-win for RIZIN either way, because they like if that what's his name? I feel so
Vugar
stupid.
Karamov,
right? Karamov, yeah. So if he wins, he can go next to the president of Azerbaijan with that comically large nose. Like, he's got the largest nose I've ever seen in the world. like he can sniff goddamn chemical weapons from 500 miles away.
It's like a bloodhound nose on that guy.
He's like a blood. If you've ever seen, like, look at the picture of the president of Azerbaijan. Like, it's hilarious.
No, you're saying that Karamov can go take that title.
Stand right next to him. Like, he can stand next to the president. Like, wasn't Bara right next to the president of Azerbaijan when they announced that?
That's right. And they're going to be building to a future show there. And what better way to break into a future international show in Azerbaijan than having an Azerbaijani title holder in one of their premier divisions?
That we could actually get Daniel D from the Discord to go. He said he would go to the Azerbaijan show if they
that'd be badass. Daniel Zubicki from Poland.
Daniel Zubicki, yeah. Shout out to Daniel from Poland, man.
Absolutely.
So I think Karamov is gonna win. I really do. I think he just outclasses Mikaru at this point. But I've just been watching Mikaru too long, man. Like, and I can't count him out. He's not Kai. Kai Glassacura, as you call him.
That's just because he can't make it to the ring anymore. And hey, if we're gonna talk trash to guys like Anthony Davis for getting hurt all the time, you darn well better believe we're going to talk trash to a mixed martial arts star like Kai Glassacura if he can't make it to the ring and he's screwed. I mean, that was supposed to be the premier bout of this entire weekend, was him and Juan Archuleta under the Superior Rules set for the title. There was no better fight. And then he's made of glass. And 2 weeks before this huge event, I mean, thank goodness for Hiromasa Oj Kubo stepping up. Quality replacement. And just props to him, and just that's why it's Kai Glassacura now for Kai until he can make his way back to the ring. That's just the way it is. If it's good enough for Anthony Davis, it's good enough for Kai. That's for sure.
Yeah. So we all got Karamov, right? Pretty much.
Yes.
Yeah, we pretty much. I mean, come to think of it, we can also say Jay Wolf and myself, we pretty much choose Karamov to win anyways from last night's show, right?
Yeah. I think everybody did.
Yeah, I mean, we want Mikuru to win because obviously that'd be better for the RIZIN brand, especially domestically in Japan. But we all think like our heart's with Mikuru, but our head is picking Vugar Karamov because we just think he's just the better fighter.
Okay, let's ask a bet. I don't think we asked this question though last night, so let's do something different so the viewers can have something different. How do we think the win is gotten? Do you think it's a submission, a knockout, a decision?
Submission. Submission or a decision, grinded out decision type of thing. Hopefully with lots and lots of grounded knees and 12-6 elbows. Hopefully Karamov
knows. Damn deadly 12-6 elbows.
Yes, I love those 12-6 elbows. One of the best things in Superior Rules
in MMA, even though they're no different than normal elbows.
I know, right?
Didn't like a commissioner in Hawaii say, actually, yeah, these are no different than like a normal elbow?
Yes, there was a study. The guy's name is Ed McGracken or something like that on Twitter as a lawyer. for mixed martial arts guy, lawyer, and he put out, there was a study that was done about the 12-6 elbow was no more dangerous or no more force than a regular elbow. In fact, it might have even been a little bit less because they were able to get their hips swinging with the, one of those elbows instead, like with the straight downward elbow, it's not like you can use your hips with that one as well. So it was just a real interesting study. Make sure you check it out and read that. Oh gosh, let me see here if I can get the actual name here. I got it on my bookmarks. What is the guy's name? I think it's Ed McGracken, but let me just
Jay Wolf is prepared for everything, bro.
Hey, this is a subject that how I love the superior rule set. Yes, no, it's Eric McGracken and not Ed McGracken. Eric McGracken, and it was here it is, 12-6. It was on combat sports law. Data shows 12-6 elbows no more dangerous than other legal strikes. So check out that article. It was fantastic.
Do you think that could actually lead to 12-6 elbows being legalized throughout all the 50 states?
Yes.
It's not as it's gonna be a long time, Jay Wolf, for soccer kicks to ever be legalized in all 50 states. But I think 12-6 elbows could get done real easy. Especially if Dana White's bald ass decides to lobby for it.
I don't understand why they haven't already, Czar. It's this amazing work that Chatri's done to get grounded knees legalized in Colorado, and now he's talking about there's rumors it's going to be in New York of all places. Is going to be.
Oh my God, Andrew, you're gonna see 12 grounded knees. Oh my God, you got to cover your eyes.
Yeah, but that's like the first domino falling. I could easily see those states, particularly Colorado, and if the rumors are true, New York. Why stop at grounded knees? Once they say grounded knees, they're going to go, hey, check out the study, 12-6 elbows, no more dangerous than any other strike. Why are you going to allow grounded knees and not also allow 12-6 elbows? It's going to create a domino effect, and eventually they're going to allow the Epic RIZIN to come over here to the States. And, one of the rumored states that Chatri and One Championship we're going to go to try to get the grounded knees legalized is Hawaii. And after they do that, if they get that done, I could easily see RIZIN coming afterwards go, hey, if you're going to do that, why not just allow a couple more strikes and so we can do our full superior rule set here? And then once that happens, it's just going to spread throughout the whole rest of the country. One by one, they can go, from Hawaii, go to Colorado, or they can go from Colorado first to, I just feel like it's going to be one of these states that allows the grounded knees. They're going to go, okay, well, then we should allow the 12-6 elbows. How many times have we seen that screw up a UFC fight? You know what I mean? Just ridiculous. Look at their poster boy, Juicer John Jones would have a perfect record without a 12-6 elbow ridiculous. No.
Wolf, you would love John Jones' RIZIN. He would fucking go hard at RIZIN.
Oh, it'd be fantastic. It'd be so epic. But
no
as of right now, I can't stand the guy. He's like, dude, and the way that he's like the Dingleberry Dana White, just dude, don't even get me started on that, Czar. I can go off for hours.
We got off topic enough. All right, so we think it's either going to be a submission or a decision. All right, so let's go to the next fight.
Okay. Which one?
The one after the main event. The one before the main event.
Oh, okay. That would be the Sika Izawa versus Claire Lopez. Or actually, you know what? They just released the bout order. Let me make sure that's what the bout order is.
Yeah.
Hold on one second.
I don't think it'll be that.
It says here. No, you're right. Okay. That's the first title fight of the night. The second one, the co-main event, is Juan Archuleta versus Hiromasa Ojikubo.
Juan War Crimes Archuleta.
You think he's going to be? We already know he knows the assignment with grounded knees.
He knows
we
the
can see something awesome here.
I'm just saying, man. I said in the chat last night, there is a chance that this man will go to the Yasukuni Shrine for a walkout video. I swear to God, he will. He will go there. Not because he doesn't know what it is. He's just stupid.
Hey, it was good to honor the World War II veterans regardless.
Jay Wolf said, yeah, I honor the people who are Class A war criminals.
No, you know, I actually
United
like
States.
Juan Archuleta. What SAR's having a good time about is when Juan Archuleta walked out at his previous collaboration event, which was a couple rises ago, like RIZIN 42. There was a collaboration super fight, and Juan Archuleta walked out wearing the Spaniard helmet with the two different flags. He had on one side it was a Spanish conquistador flag, and the other side it was the Japanese imperial battle flag. And his message after winning was to not be afraid of your history, don't be afraid of your past, and everybody grows from where the past and stuff. And it's not it was I thought that was a great message, actually, to be honest with you. But a lot of people were like butthurt because they didn't want him to use the. I was surprised they weren't butthurt about the conquistador flag. I mean, why does that one get a pass, but the Japanese battle the Imperial with Japan battle flag?
Nobody knows enough about that or cares. So
yeah. So, but that's what SAR was talking about having a good time. That's why Juan's walkout is going to start at the shrine that he's talking about for the World War II veterans on the Japanese side.
It's not just for World War II. It's not for veterans. It's literally there are war criminals that are there, like Hideki Tojo, like people that you read about in your history books, whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm just memeing around. It doesn't really matter. I don't really care that much. I'm just memeing.
Yeah, but I mean, how about Hiromasa stepping up for Kai Glasakura? I mean, we got to give him props. I mean, even though we think he's going to get,
I think it's a ballsy move because if he knocks Archuleta off his block, he's going a long way. Like that's a
absolutely
huge, that's a huge jump in status for him. Like, where is he before this fight?
Hiromasa, he was coming off of 2 losses recently to Kyoji, and let me see who the other one was real quick. Hold on one second here. It was, hold on, sorry, my iPad's loading it right now. It was, come on, Sul-Chul Kim. That's right. Sul-Chul Kim.
The Korean goat Sul-Chul Kim. Yeah, shout to Sul-Chul Kim.
Absolutely. So, but I mean, before that, he's still the reigning Grand Prix winner. The most recent Grand Prix that had a one-night Grand Prix final, he won that one. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. And that was in 2021, the New Year's Eve 2021. So that was not that long ago, just about a year ago, year and 7 months ago. So, and also, again, you got to remember, he also holds the win over the current UFC champion. So he's like the de facto UFC champion right now because, I mean, he's got wins over, I think, both of the current UFC champion and the former UFC champion at flyweight here. Let me just make sure here. For sure, Pantoja. Right there, Ultimate Fighter season 24. It says here in the semifinals.
Oh wow, he won a modern Ultimate Fighter tournament. Oh my god, what a legend.
Yeah, no, he got to the finals and by beating Alexander Pantoja. But I thought he also had a W over the other. I guess not, but anyways, that's pretty good. I mean, because Pantoja is the champion
what I was saying
right now.
earlier, I think. Sorry, my brain's kind of.
That's all right. No, it's because it's live. It's because we're live. That's why.
Yeah. Who's he facing again? My bad.
Hiromasa's facing Juan Archuleta.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Juan. Man, I'm stupid. How can I forget that? You just told me.
That's all right. No, it's because we're live. Don't even trip. We do that all the time, brother.
I think Juan Archuleta is gonna do it easily. I think it's gonna be an easy win for him, to be honest. But I think it, but it could be a surprise. You never know. Like Matsuda might say, you know what, this is my time to snap this losing streak and show this Bellator boy who the real Japanese guy is.
That's right. You never know, and you never know because he obviously, from the photos, it looks like he's stayed in shape. So it's not. I mean, that's probably why he stepped up on such short notice, 2 weeks. I mean, because he was already in pretty good shape, so he didn't need that much time to get ready, and hopefully he's going to bring a really good fight to Juan. But I mean, dude, Juan's tough. He's the number 3 Bellator bantamweight. He's got the only man to have a win over Patchy Mix. I mean, the guy's a tough elite fighter. So this is, and
so we all pretty much agree that it's going to be a Archuleta win, right?
Yes. Okay, let's go to the next one then. Let's go.
Oh, before we do, what do you think it's going to be by?
Oh, I think it's going to be Archuleta by sensational, superior rule set knockout. Hopefully, that's what I'm hoping for. I'd like it to be stomped.
Knockout.
Yeah, probably soccer kick, but I would personally like a stomp knockout from Juan. I think that would go absolutely viral.
Soccer kicks. I'm the opposite. I love soccer kicks more than the stomps.
Oh no, the flying stomp is, I believe, is the most exciting strike in the sport. Is the flying stomp, like a flying Shogun stomp, flying Wanderlei Silva stomp, or like most recently like a flying Reina stomp.
All right, so let's move on to the next one.
I basically got Archuleta winning as well. We can go ahead and move on down.
Okay, yeah, we're at the next one. This is my personally so underrated, and it's one of my favorite collaboration super fights of the night, and it's because it's a collaboration with Combate Global, one of the only promotions besides Invicta and RIZIN that does women's atomweight and women's strawweight and stuff like that, the lighter weight divisions for the women. And Combate Global is sending over one of their stars, Claire Lopez, to face the champion of RIZIN, Sika Superstar Flower Izawa. And it's just going to be this one. I'm so intrigued by this one. I mean, I can't wait for it. This is one of my, since Kai Glassakura got hurt, this is now my collaboration super fight of the night, in my opinion, because I think it's going to be amazing. I love the collaboration with Combate Global and Invicta for these women, the lighter weight divisions. And, it's also Combate Global. They had a show a month ago that was it was Japan versus Mexico. And it was like ended up tied up, I think it was, or like 2-1, something like that. And so they were saying, they were hyping it up on Combate Global, saying that this is a continuation of that Japan versus Mexico. So it's basically it's not just Japan versus Mexico, it's Japan versus Combate Global. That's what this score is, and it's man, it just makes it even another layer of fun to this collaboration.
If RIZIN was still on Fuji TV, they could also say it's Fuji TV versus Univision.
Yeah,
Univision.
That's right, huh? You know what? Speaking of Fuji, I bet you they're going to come crawling. But I thought they were going to do it before the end of the year.
Let me tell you why. I think they would, but I think Barros is fucking done with them. Like, I think he makes more money off of Fuji TV. Because let me tell you something. Like, Fuji TV, like, they made more money off of Bima. Like, for real, like, a Bima out here booming. Like it's really booming out here for a Bima, man. Like, I hear some of the numbers, like just think of combat sports in general, pro wrestling, kickboxing, boxing, MMA. Some of these pro wrestling shows, some of these boxing shows, some of these kickboxing shows are doing huge numbers on a Bima. Like, and I think the Bima has also affected, like, people's attendance. Like, people don't even want to go to shows no more because they can just watch it on Bima, but they get a big cut off of Bima, I think. Like, so I don't even think they need Fuji TV anymore. I think right. I think terrestrial TV in Japan is dying, to be honest. Like, so I don't even think it needs to go back there anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. This is part of the reason why they found out that they were a pay-per-view viable company, is because of Fuji TV's mistake. And now Bar's like, well, dude, I'm making all this money off of pay-per-view. What do I need Fuji TV for anymore? Especially now we're going to be having an influx of international fighters. Hopefully Teep's dream of them merging. That could be what the big merger is. Instead of PFL, it's going to be the Epic RIZIN and Bellator merging.
I don't think so. I think it's going to be. I'm going to break your heart, Jay. It's going to be a two-way merger between one and fucking PFL.
Oh, God, no. Please, no. Anything with that. Oh, imagine, dude, one and PFL merge. What are they going to do? They're going to...
No, I mean like like it's gonna be like a vulture taking the scraps off the carcass, like one ticket.
So they're gonna be the ones picking over the roster, and then we get the leftovers for Epic Rising. Oh god, that'd be. I mean, hey, the leftovers is better than nothing. But
I still think Archuleta. I think CJ said this on the stream last night. I think he's 100% right. I think he's looking for a few. I think he's looking towards a future where he's Japan exclusive at this point. Like it seems like I don't think he's going to ONE or PFL or anything like that. I think he's going to Rising.
No, they treat him so well in Japan on the Epic Rising. I mean, they really. If you've seen the behind the scenes footage and the Rising Confessions series, I don't know. Do you see that they put out a series now for Bellator Confessions? They did it with. They have subtitles, everything. That's on the Rising English Twitter account. Check that out. The Rising Confessions series.
I think it's going to be a Juan Archuleta victory. It's going to be pretty decisive, I think. So let's move on to the next one.
Yeah, no, we're on Sekizawa and
Claire
Lopez.
Damn, I'm stupid.
No, it's all right. Don't even trip. It's because we're live.
I think Claire Lopez is going to get her.
Really? You think Claire Lopez is going to be the slayer of the Superstar Flower? Wow.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, Sekizawa is no joke here.
But didn't CJ would know more about this because he talks to these fighters, right, in Japan, right? Didn't Seiki say that she acknowledges the power of Claire Lopez in that hand?
Yeah, and she's got the better grappling though. So, I mean, and plus Claire Lopez's gas tank is in question because she sort of. I mean, if it wasn't for that submission win,
that gas tank don't matter if you early in the fight you just keep peppering her and hitting her hard in the face. Like that really doesn't. I think it's gonna be a knockout. To be honest with you,
man. Well, that it's making it even more intriguing now because I thought it was. I was worried that people were going to think it was going to be a blowout for Sika because she's too good. But I mean, now you and a couple on the We Are Rising podcast the other night, it's the same thing, picking Lopez for the upset. So I mean, this it just makes it that much better for me talking to you guys about it and find out that it's more than it's like a 50-50 fight basically is what you guys are telling me.
I'll say this: if she can't get it done in the first 2 rounds, it's over for Lopez.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I agree 100%. She's got to get an early victory or else Sika is always just going to be too much for her. So, Jay Chris, anything you want to add about the Superstar Flower versus Lopez, Combate Global times Epic Rising collaboration super fight, or no? Or you want to just keep going down the fights?
I think we'll just keep going down.
Okay, next one is Kenta Takizawa versus the Olympic silver medalist Shinobu Ota. This one, I was just going to say this one I was looking forward to because Ota, great fighter, Olympic silver medals, like I was saying. And he has a highlight that they tweeted out for RIZIN where he really showcases the superior rule set very well. Does ground and knee soccer kicks, even throws in a couple stomps in this TKO win. And it just shows the beauty of the superior rule set, how dynamic it is. And just that's why I'm really rooting for him. This is a huge step up in competition for him. This Takizawa was very experienced, 13-9 winning record, and Ota's only 3-2. So this is a great test for him. Great show. He's basically this is the main event before the title fights basically. Or actually, you know what? Let me make sure real quick on the official lineup because just like you said, Tapology is wrong. No, okay. This is the one before the intermission for the title fights is going to be Tofik Musayev, but this one is right before that. Okay, so this is still one of the top fights on the card, and I just think Ota is just going to be, just show that Olympic medal basically, and just get it done.
So who do you got winning this fight?
Ota.
I also have Ota because I think it would be great if we could have the Japanese version of Perk Angle in MMA, and I think we need that. I think we need it. He doesn't have a gold medal, but if he goes, what he needs to do is he needs to come out the singlet, and then when he's beating someone's ass, he needs to take down the straps of the singlet like Perk Angle. That would just get over like fucking crazy. Like No, I got Ota too. Like, but some other people on the podcast didn't think he could actually do it, right, Jay Wolf?
Yeah, because Takizawa's got a lot of experience over him.
Definitely.
So.
Definitely. I think that's a more even fight, but I think Ota's gonna win because just like, you can't win an Olympic silver medal for being a bum.
That's right.
The Olympics isn't Ricky Bobby. Like if you get on the podium, what the fuck is it called?
The podium. Yeah, if you medal, get on the podium, you're a winner.
If you get on the medal podium, you're a winner. Like, so
100%. Absolutely. So, okay, let's go to the next one then. Next one is a middleweight matchup. Dachi Abe versus Igor Fat Ninja Tanabe, who also got an interview with Jay Krish. And Jay Krish said that he's going to upload that here in the next couple of days or so. So, I mean, this one, we're definitely looking forward to this one. Fat Ninja, of course, is incredible Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fighter. Abe is, of course, a very experienced welterweight 185-pounder in Japan. So, and Fat Ninja's only got 2 wins though, but still 2 fights. And so this is again another experienced guy versus a hot prospect, so to speak. So, and that interview with Jay Krish, I think is going to be great. Jay Krish, any updates on when that could be possibly uploaded or no? Jay Krish, you there or no?
I think he's muted right now. I think he's doing something right now. So,
okay, my bad. Yeah.
I think Igor Fat Ninja is going to win. How can you go against a guy named Fat Ninja? Like,
I know, right? It doesn't get any better than that, right?
Yeah. So.
All right. Yeah. So, you want to say any more about that fight, or you want to move on to the next one?
Let's move on to the next fight.
Next one, according to Tapology,
Man, y'all been going on without me, huh?
Yeah.
Wait, no. All right.
I'm just trying to get my food, man, but I'm just here to tell y'all right now.
Hold on. What
you
eating?
You're eating lunch
some barbecue, man. Some barbecue, man.
Barbecue, baby. Yeah, let's go, man.
Oh,
man. But still, though, I just want to let y'all know let y'all know that we kind of on the time limit here. We are basically going to be running at least for another 10 or 15 minutes. Let's just be real. 10 or 15 minutes.
We're almost finished it up. We just finished talking about Abe Tanabe, and now we're on Ito, Kondo, and then all we have after that is Mosaev and Akira, and then we're done. So we can get that done.
Okay, cool.
So, all right. Sorry, we're on Ito and Kondo. The only other flyweight bout on here besides the inaugural flyweight Bellator championship on the Bellator portion earlier. So this, I think it's going to be a really interesting matchup with Ito, and Kondo's record is deceptive. He's a breaking down guy, so he's one of Makiru's fighters. So what do you think about this?
Shout out to Mikuru, man, or Makiru. However it's pronounced. I call him Mikuru.
Yeah, I know, right? Mikuru, it all works.
Yeah.
He's off for action, bro, for sure.
Yeah. Shout out to him, man. He told Barra it's either my guys or the highway. Like, I don't care if these guys could be jobbers, but Mikuru is like an expert promoter. He said, Barra, I ain't fighting unless you put my dudes on the card. And he's got Barra over a barrel because he's like one of the biggest guys in Japan. So like he can't say no.
Yeah. Barra loves him as Azakura action, bro, especially Mikuru. That's why I put him in that exhibition match with Floyd Money Mayweather.
Yeah, he got fucking destroyed.
Hey, he rocked Mayweather once, remember? He rocked him fair and square.
Yeah, don't bring that up to Andrew. Andrew hates that.
I know. I love trolling him with it.
No. But yeah. I think who do you got winning, Jay Wolf? I just want to hear your opinion.
Oh, I got Ito. Ito winning. He's going to make a statement, and he's going to either put himself in the bracket for the upcoming flyweight Grand Prix, or he's going to get signed by Bellator.
I'm familiar with, like, I meme I'm breaking down because I it's like a meme promotion, so I don't really watch that. I watched like one show of it, but who's the guy from breaking down? Is it Ito?
No, it's Kondo. Hiroya Kondo.
Yes, I'm gonna go with Kondo because Mikaru might cut him off if he loses. So he got to fight for his survival.
Oh, you think he's gonna? That's gonna be what lights a fire under him? Is that? Oh man, I gotta put up the rep of Mikuru's breaking down here to uphold.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So Jay Chris is over there smashing some barbecue. So we'll keep it moving, keep it rolling here. So we got a 15-minute time limit. Let's go on to the last fight of the night. The other unofficial collaboration super fight. Tofik Musayev, the number 3 ranked Bellator lightweight, is taking on, according to Tapology, number 1 lightweight in Japan, Akira Okada, 19-9 fighter. And they got similar experience, similar amount of fights here. And but Tofik is an absolute killer, as we know. So, but it's great to see him back
I'm just
home.
gonna go ahead and say it right now, and I got Yuki Ito winning this fight. Obviously, well, I got Yuki Ito winning the first fight on the RIZIN portion of the card. But I'm gonna tell you right now, Tofik has been out of the game in the RIZIN Fighting Federation for 2 years since he lost to Roberto Satoshi de Sousa at the Tokyo Dome 2 years ago, even though it was in front of a crowd. So,
but Jay Wolf,
even though it.
Sorry,
Okay, Sar. What are you trying to ask?
I'm gonna ask you a serious question. Hold on. Do you think that the the pressure from his president, the president of Azerbaijan will make him win this fight? Like,
I mean, you can pretty much say the same for Bugar Karmov in the main event.
Yeah, but Bugar's a way better fighter.
I'm gonna just say it right now. Ain't gonna be no pressure on either one of them. I think Tofik's gonna come into this fight and smash Akira Gorilla Okada like he owes him money. I'm gonna just go ahead and say it right now, because he's been out of the game for RIZIN for like 2 years, like I said, since he fought Roberto Satoshi de Sousa at the Tokyo Dome. And of course, since it didn't really get... yeah, I know. He's 1-2 in his last 3, I think. But still, though, he's been needing to bounce back because he can't really handle the pressure of the, as you say, Jay, the pussified rules of the unified rule set. So him coming back to RIZIN is just going to feel like home for him.
That's right. Absolutely, Jay Krish. So looking forward to that one. Sar, what do you think about this one? Think Tofik's just going to smash?
I think Tofik is going to win. I think we're going to go 2 for 2. I think we're going to go 2 for 2 for Azerbaijani fighters winning tonight.
Nice. That'll set up that Azerbaijan show perfectly in the future.
Of course. And I mean, come to think of it, when you think about, RIZIN's future, I mean, obviously they want to do events in America by way of Hawaii, of course, which is pretty much the worst time zone for any fight fan in the fight world these days.
I mean, not J Wolf. It's only an hour away for J Wolf, right, J Wolf?
Well, it's like 4 hours, something like that. Like a 4 or 5 hour difference.
Nah,
Pacific?
For you, shit. What am I saying? For you, Jay, it's a 2 hour time difference. For us here, it's 4 hours.
Yeah,
okay.
Still, though,
we're both at Central Time, so it's gonna be like fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. It's a 5 hour difference, but still, that's what it is.
Considering the fact that we chose these 2 Azerbaijani fighters, Karmov and Musayev, to win these fights on the RIZIN card, do you think that if they win these fights, that maybe we might see an event in Azerbaijan for RIZIN sooner rather than later?
I guarantee we will. And the president of Azerbaijan is going to be there. Like, he's going to be in the front row. Like, they're trying to make Azerbaijan the RIZIN's version of Dagestan. Like, that's what they're trying to do, bro.
Yes. 100%.
Like, and that's actually a pretty smart move, because Azerbaijan, as of yet, isn't under U.S. sanctions. So
that's right, and they can bring in all those guys from like those Russian countries and stuff, like Dagestan, like you're saying, and all of them stuff. They can bring in some guys from there, bring in some Eastern Euro guys. I mean, that could be that Azerbaijani show. It's going to be a real international event, and it's not just going to be focused on Japanese fighters, and it's going to have a lot of Azerbaijani guys, but I guarantee you it's also going to have a bunch of like Russian and Dagestanis and Eastern Euro fighters, and it's going to be a really great show. So, I mean, if both Vugar and Tofik can win in spectacular fashion, with Vugar picking up the title, man, I absolutely see that happening in the very near future, Czar. 100%. You're absolutely correct. With the president sitting there as well. 100%.
Yeah, I think that's their. I think that's the goal. Like, I think Bara wants that to happen. Like, because like, when's the last time RIZIN has ran outside of Japan? Like,
they haven't yet. No, they haven't yet.
That's crazy.
So,
like, to be honest, like, they should have like in. They could have run a show.
Remember COVID. COVID screwed everything up.
I'm talking before COVID. I'm like in 2016, 2017. They could have ran a show in South Korea and been reasonably successful.
Well, I guess, but I mean, look, they're getting to it now, so we're gonna get it. It's going to be Azerbaijan. It's gonna be their first one. Hopefully, also they're gonna get the Hawaii Commissions the man up. Maybe after Shatri gets them, kicks them in their ass, tells them, hey, at least man up on grounded knees. So, we'll see what happens. So, but anyways, hey, we're getting short on time here. Let's finish this one up.
I mean, come to think of it, I just gotta ask you, Sar, considering the fact that we just got off the Bellator portion, what fights are you most interested in seeing on that side of the card?
You gotta list it off again. I forgot what the build.
Damn it! Let me go ahead and do that. Andre Korshkov versus Lorenz the Monsoon Larkin. Magomed Tiger Magomedov versus the Italian gangster in his own mind, Danny Sabatello. Kala Watanabe versus Beta Ortega for the Bellator Flyweight Championship of the World, the inaugural Bellator Flyweight Championship fight. The former and future Kyoji
Kyoji's fighting against the Kyoji.
Yes, Kyoji Horiguchi versus Kyoji Horiguchi versus Makoto Shinryu Takahashi and Patricky Pitbull versus AJ McKee.
The championship fight with the championship.
Horiguchi. Yeah.
Yeah, with Horiguchi in it. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
All right.
I see. But still, though,
let's wrap this up.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say it right now. Check out what am I trying to say? I'm just my mind is running at 100 miles a minute.
That barbecue really kicking your ass, huh?
Did you put some spicy barbecue sauce on there or something?
Put some tangy
shit. I wish. I mean, we live in Texas. Did you put some Sweet Baby Ray's on that bitch? Shit, I wish. But still, though, we live in Texas. We live and die off barbecue,
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, boy. I know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. But still, though, let me go ahead and clear my thoughts real quick and just say this. The first 5 fights will be a part of the Bellator MMA portion on Showtime at 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 Central, 8 Pacific, during the Terrence Bud Crawford Errol the Truth Spence Jr. fight on pay-per-view, which unfortunately will see the services of Mauro Ranallo. So he won't be there. Sean Grande will. Then, as soon as they elevate the cage up to the Raptors and bring out the superior rule set and the ropes for the RIZIN ring, the other 7 fights on the card will be on Fight TV pay-per-view for $20, courtesy of Integrated Sports. 3 a.m. Eastern, midnight Pacific, 2 a.m. Central Time. If you want to stay up with us overseas geeks, now's your chance.
Yeah, but the only person who can watch it actually live is CJ.
I mean, come to think of it, he lives there.
He lives in Japan. He'll probably be.
You mean he was live by going to the event?
I was like, you fucking will. Stop lying.
But still, though. Bellator MMA, Showtime version. RIZIN FF, Fight TV version. No more promoting you next or other that bullshit or anything like that, because it's like on 7 different platforms over in Japan.
Yeah.
Still, though, The only platforms you need to know are Bellator on Showtime, and of course Showtime via Paramount Plus, and Fight TV via Integrated Sports. That's all I gotta say. Any
That's right.
final thoughts on this? Any
No,
final thoughts on this before?
No, everybody's plug it, and then let's play this clip of Lenny Hart and close the show here.
Yeah, of course. So, Jay Wolf, before we close this out, any plugs you would like to give out?
No, just want to give another shout out to the Tea to the Junk show that we do on his YouTube show, Random Acoustic Thoughts. That we do an already long preview for Bellator shows and the ridiculously long recap the week after the show. So check that out.
Okay.
And also for the We Are RIZIN podcast, you're going to be doing one right after this show, actually. Going to be going back on there and continuing to preview this incredible summer blockbuster collaboration mega event with Andrew Benjamin and the We Are RIZIN podcast. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Check that out as well. And Sar, thank you again for joining us here. And you can check us out on the RIZIN Discord chat server.
AKA known as. I'm just gonna give all y'all awarded before y'all come to the War Discord. Okay, the War Discord is literally in the hater building. Okay, so if you can't take a little bit of trolling, a little bit of haterism, a lot of haterism, and some bad jokes. Like
it's called. We do a little bit of trolling. We do a little bit of trolling.
People do a lot of trolling. Johnny Yup, that guy, King Silo, all them dudes. Shout out to all the dudes on the Discord, man.
Absolutely, the RIZIN fam, as I like to call them.
Yeah.
Jay Chris.
But of course, Sar, you can't give any promotional plugs out other than that because, unfortunately, you don't have any social media outside of Discord, and you like it like that, don't you?
Yeah, I like it like that. Yeah, don't be tweeting at me. Don't be like, don't be looking.
Oh, you're not even gonna be able to tweet no more, Czar. Elon Musk is changing it to X now. It's not even Twitter.
Twitter is such a shit show, bro.
Did you see that shit?
What?
Now instead of tweeting, we're gonna be like,
that's why Discord booming right now, bro. Like, you can do everything on Discord.
You know what?
Right, Discord is where it's at.
I gotta say about that? Elon Musk can X these nuts. That's all I gotta say.
Oh no! Wait, I can't wait to get the new X post here. So that's what we're gonna call it. Instead of tweeting, it's gonna be called X posting or X videos.
Oh Lord!
Don't be searching X videos on your phone. Don't be searching X videos.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, that shit was trending. What the X videos?
Yeah, it was. It was hilarious.
Yeah, viewer discretion is strongly advised on that one.
Be careful when you search Twitter videos.
Yeah, bro.
But still, though, enough of the bullshit. I think I'm gonna go ahead and plug mine. Obviously, plug my outlets. If y'all enjoy this chaotic mess that we just put on, that's cool, fine and dandy. I just wanted to basically tell y'all thank you for checking this out, listening, watching, however you're getting this about. Shout out to all three of you. Obviously, Teep to the Junk is in spirit because we know he's working right now. But Jay, Sar, thank you both for basically helping me keep this ship afloat. And if you like the content that we put, no problem. And if you like the content that we putting out, follow us on. I'm not gonna say follow us on Twitter or X or whatever the fuck. Just check out
follow us on Threads.
Yeah, of course,
of
course. But still, though, point of the matter is we got a Linktree account. Y'all can go to linktr.ee/focus fights to check out all the links that we got, including for the podcast, for the website, which we damn sure need to update, for the YouTube channel, for just about everything, including, our Discord server, which is a pile of shit right now. But still, though, point of the matter is, I'm not going to plug any more links other than that one because plugging all those damn links wears down my damn voice. That's for real.
Here, let's
But-
do the Lenny Hart shout out here.
Let's
Let's
do
see
no,
if
no,
it
no,
works
no, no, no,
now.
no, 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 no.
Oh,
Let
not
me
yet,
go
not
ahead
yet?
and plug myself
Oh.
real quick.
Go ahead,
real
go ahead.
quick. I am on Twitter at ChrisGary92. I am on Twitter at ChrisGary92 and on Instagram at ChristianGary1992. Jay Wolf, you are on Twitter at JAYYOLF1 because
Yes,
they
and
know it's you, right?
that's right. Misspelled, so you know it's me, not an imposter.
Mm-hmm. And if you want to check out more about the RIZIN Fighting Federation, you can go on to their website at jp.rizinff.com for more information, or bellatormma.com for more information on Bellator MMA, of course. But aside from all that, I'm done. Jay Wolf is done. SAR is done. And we thank y'all for listening. We thank y'all for watching. We thank y'all for just having some good vibes with us. And of course, well, let's
As the
just
great
say it
Lenny
right
Hart-
now.
As the great Lenny Hart always says,
Couldn't have said it better ourselves. With that, we say peace, and we'll see y'all later.
Sayonara.
peace.
Yo, J Wolf.
Yeah.
Yo, ask Andrew if I could come on the We Are Rising to shit.
Okay.
I don't know if he ready.